Now we're going to talk about the pre-wedding meeting. Now, what do I mean when I say the pre-wedding meeting? This is going to be the meeting where we are going to meet up with our couple closer to the wedding date, because we may have seen them a year and a half ago when they originally booked you. So it's now time to find out the finer details and get everything planned up front. And we used to call that our pre-wedding meeting. So what's the purpose of a pre-wedding meeting? Well, for us it was to achieve the following. I wanted to reconfirm all the details of the wedding, particularly venue addresses, etc. We don't want any surprises. They may have actually changed. Since they met you, they may have actually changed something. It's not the first time where somebody's been planning to get married at a church, and then come the few months before the wedding, they decide that they're actually just going to have the ceremony at the venue. So always make sure you recheck these things. You want to re-establish a rapport with a couple. You want to get, last time you saw them, it was a sales process. Now you want to become friendly with them and get to know them a bit. You also want to re-establish that you're in control. You're the expert at weddings here. They're not. You've done X number of weddings. You know how weddings work. This is their first time rodeo, right? And it's also an opportunity to upgrade their package. So it's also another sales opportunity for you. So don't forget that. It's also a chance to weed out any potential problems, because you don't want problems on a wedding day. You don't want any surprises. So this is the time to find it all out. Now, this was great for us because we did this pre-wedding shoot. We offered a free pre-wedding shoot with every package apart from our low-end one. And we never ever booked low-end, the 1495. So if you ever look at my records, you'll find there's no 1495 weddings in there. So we always did a free pre-wedding shoot. So this was an opportunity to get them in anyway, to get a shoot and to go through the meeting. So we'd plan it that way. The pre-wedding shoot is a great marketing tool because you can say to them, look, you have a chance to prove to yourself that my photography is what you really want. And I always say to them, look, I'll guarantee you, if you do your pre-wedding shoot and you don't like those pictures, I'll give you your money back at that point. Because I don't want that. I want you to make sure that you're delighted with my wedding pictures in the pre-wedding shoot. I don't want you to have any doubts at all that I'm going to do a good job for you in the day. So it's a great marketing tool to help reassure them by offering that cast iron guarantee. We also provided them a sign-in frame, as I mentioned before, a great keepsake for them, and again it's more marketing for us. We give them a set of business cards we showed you earlier, with our pre-wedding photographs on one side and the details of where their guests can see their photographs afterwards, and we put these on the wedding reception tables, obviously with their permission, and 9 times out of 10 that wasn't a problem. And again, it's a chance, and I say this to them as well, it's a chance for us to get to know each other on the wedding day, so we won't be strangers. Because occasionally I would have situations where it's not practical to do a pre-wedding shoot. And they never got a discount for that, by the way. They just, if they had the chance, it was a free wedding shoot. If they didn't do it, they didn't do it. But some couples we might be dealing with overseas. So this pre-wedding meeting might be 2 days before the wedding, right? So you're not going to get a chance to do a pre-wedding. But I always would say to them, look, we need to do this meeting because we don't want to be strangers on the wedding day for one thing. Like, we want to get to know each other. So we've structured it. It was a 30-minute photo shoot, a mini shoot. They got 20 photos, and it'd either be in the studio or very close by. You choose where the location for the pre-wedding shoot is, not them. I made a mistake at the start. I used to sort of say to them, was there somewhere special you'd like your pre-wedding shoot? They were picking places that were miles away. So I very quickly realised, wait a minute, hang on, pre-wedding shoot is either in my studio or it's in the local park. Right? I preferred the local park because I wanted to differentiate their photos from a portrait shoot, because I might sell them a portrait shoot further down the line. So we would do shoot in the park, and the only time it would change is if it rained, I would get them in the studio. So again, this pre-wedding shoot, it's free advertising, remember. You get these business cards, all the guests see them. They're going to keep these cards because it tells them the password for the online gallery so they can see the wedding photographs. How many weddings have you been at and say, I never did see those photographs? This is great. People go away and they know exactly how to find the photographs. Again, free advertising, the sign-in frame. Lovely sign-in frame. The couple would get this matted print and their guests would sign on the print. They loved it, and it's a great keepsake for them. Absolutely brilliant keepsake. And the guests like it as well because they write little messages. Occasionally you get a drunk guest that writes something inappropriate. We've only had that happen twice, I think, and they actually had asked us to redo the sign-in frame. They paid us for new sign-in frames because some bloke had made a mess of it. So after the shoot, we've done this 30-minute shoot. We're going to spend another 30 minutes going through the wedding day. Now at this point, I would step away here. I would do the shoot. I'd take them back to the studio and then I would hand them over to Morag. And Morag, my wife Morag, would do this part of the meeting. And the reason for that was because it helped handle if anything came up that was different from what I was planning or discussed with them. She was somehow removed from that and she was able to discuss it with them easier. Where if it was me, I could maybe be caught in a fuss where I'd maybe told them one thing and then I'm suddenly finding myself of painting myself in a corner where it was both doing it. That was easier. For you, you might not have the luxury of doing that, but if you have a partner in your business, I would get them to do this part of the meeting. They're the organiser. And we used to always try to explain timing to them working backwards. I said this in the previous lesson. So you find out when you're going to finish, and that way you work backwards to agree your starting time because you've got a set amount of hours that they have booked you for. And most timing issues with weddings come from either other vendors, band setup time or hairstylists running late, etc. Or speeches being done after a meal instead of before. Speeches after a meal are an absolute nightmare because the start time is always late and you don't know how long they're going to go on for. And any time I had weddings running on late, it was because of that. And I used to encourage them to get the speeches done first. Now, a lot of venues, I would encourage them to have the speeches afterwards because they want to get their meals out, but try and encourage them to do the speeches first. Say to them, look, you don't want to be sitting going through your dinner and feeling all nervous. You want to just get the speeches out of the way, you can relax and enjoy your meal. On the point of vendors running late, that's covered by you making sure they understand that you have an overtime clause. Okay, so if a band runs late, your overtime will click in and you've told them that up front. Now in Scotland, most Scottish weddings are typically 2 p.m. in the afternoon. 2 p.m. ceremony, 4:30 sit down for the meal and 8 p.m. first dance. 90% of weddings we did, that was basically the timetable. And a lot of couples would come along and we would persuade them to change their timetable to that timetable because it made a lot of sense when you explain how the weddings work. I've even couples coming, our ceremony is at 11 o'clock in the morning. What's your guests going to do between 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock when they get their meal? So I know in England they do this a lot. The weddings can be earlier, and then the guests all go away for a few hours and then come back. So you've got to manage that kind of process. That you can't stop and start your clock. Your clock starts from the time you arrive to the time you leave. Now, bridal prep. If you're not as experienced with weddings, bridal prep does not start at 8:30 in the morning. Right, that's when the bride and all that, they all start to get ready. What you've got to tell them is that most brides prefer to be almost finished with their hair and makeup when they arrive so that they'll look their best for the photographs. So you're telling them you don't want to look like a good Scottish phrase, a pun of mince. You don't want to look, as if you've just got out of bed in the morning in your photographs. You want to look your best. So that's we always say will come near the end of your makeup and hairstylist. So we're just getting those final touches and getting those into the photographs. So our idea would generally be if it was a 2 o'clock wedding, we would turn up at 12:30. where they're just finishing getting ready. So, and we'd also encourage them to be ready earlier than they were planning before they're due to leave, because then we could get some nice portrait shots when they're ready. So if I can get in at 12:30 and they're just finishing off hair and makeup, we've got half an hour, 45 minutes to spare before they need to think about where they're travelling, where the cars are turning up, or whether, obviously if they're getting married at the same venue, it's a different scenario. But you want to make sure you've got some time factored in there. One, either if the hair and makeup artists are running late, then that's fine. You've got that buffer you've already created by telling them to get ready earlier. Or two, you've now got a nice bit of time you can spend with the bride or the groom or both to get some nice portrait shots before the start of the wedding. You get some, and it gives you that bit of breathing space. So you allow 30 to 90 minutes max for this pre-wedding bridal prep shoot. So 30 minutes minimum. That's just enough to get there, take some photos and get back to the venue if they're getting ready at home. You need to leave 30 minutes before the bride is due to leave, because you need to get the guests arriving at the venue. Because a lot of brides will think you will leave at the same time as her and get pictures of her getting into the car when she's leaving her house or whatever. You can't do that because you need to be there for the guests arriving. You also have to be there for the bride arriving. So you explain that to her, and once they understand it, they'll say, "Oh yeah, of course, I can't do that." Right? Now, once occasionally you'll maybe get some, "Oh, I really wanted a picture of getting in the car," and then if there's two photographers in a team, if you work in a team of two, you can perhaps do that, but you'll tell her that photographer will have to travel in the car with her. So that again might rule it out. So again, just make sure you understand where there might be any potential issues. When are the speeches afterwards? Well, I said before that they're going to need to book extra time. If the speeches are running afterwards, I'm telling them up front, look, I'm telling you, you will not have a first dance at 8 o'clock. If your speeches are afterwards, your wedding is going to run late. And we've got overtime here, and do you want us to use it? There's no not paying it. We don't work extra hours. We'll always say if a wedding's running late on the day, I've told them this up front before the wedding. They know up front, look, if we're running late, what do you want me to do? We get that agreed before the wedding. So on the wedding day, I can just go and have a quick word in the groom or the bride's ear or whoever's ear and say, look, guys, we're running late. We're going to hit overtime. Is that okay? And there's no arguments about it at that point because they know. You've explained it to them. So no surprises. Plan timing carefully. Invoice them 6 weeks before the wedding. Payment is due 4 weeks before. No exceptions, right? If they have not paid you 4 weeks before the wedding, that wedding's cancelled. That's in your contract. No payment, no wedding. Don't ever get caught in a situation where, I'm waiting on something coming through, can I just pay you on the day? No way. You are going to get yourself in so much trouble if you ever do that. No payment, no wedding. At this point, you're also going to talk about the formal family wedding group photos. And we suggest that no more than 10 photos, including a large group photo of all guests. And the reason we get it to that is because, and sometimes they might turn up with a list of 40 photographs you want. I had the one once, it was 40 photographs you want. This is, there's no way you can get that, because each group photo is going to take 5 minutes to organise and set up. Time you get the people called out, who they are, get them lined up, get them posed properly, because we do a great job of posing a proper formal family group photo. When the people, they see these family group in our albums, everybody's feet are in the right place, they're all standing right. Morag used to sort them all out, and it would be 5 minutes for a photo, but the photos were outstanding. They were the best family photos they'll ever have. So you tell them it's going to take 5 minutes to organise, and a group photo with everybody, you're talking 15 minutes the time you get them all out the bar and at the venue into a place where you can see them all and everybody looking at you. So 9 photos plus one large group photo, that's 60 minutes, that's an hour, right? So that's why we can't do any more than 10. So you explain that to them as well. Make sure you get all this sorted out up front before the wedding. And emphasise with them at this point, if they want those weddings with wow pictures that I've showed you, I need at least 30 to 45 minutes with them on your own. Just the two of you. If the videographer's involved, they have to agree that this is your time, not the videographer's. If he needs 30 to 45 minutes as well, that's over and above what you've already got here. So they've got to factor that into their timing on their day. The worst thing you get, and I feel for the videographer and I understand it, they're trying to get shots alongside you, and if you're, there's nothing worse than to say, Alan, could we do this? And the videographer's then taking another 5-10 minutes and you're standing doing nothing. That's a nightmare. So you've got to agree that up front, and you've got to tell the videographer, look, this is my time, honestly, you can go and have your time, and I'll keep it your way, you keep it my way, and we'll work together. And I've only once had a clash with a videographer where that was a real issue. Check the status of parents. Any divorces or deaths, you need to be factored into photos. You need to know these things up front so you don't put your foot in it on the wedding day. Shout for the mother of the bride and she died 6 months ago. Really got to be careful with that kind of stuff, because it's so easy to just think, oh, what have I done? Oops. So any awkward family issues to be aware of. Somebody might not get along with somebody, can't be in the same picture with them. You're going to know these issues up front. Just make sure that anything where obviously divorces, same idea. Can your mother and father who divorced 10 years ago, are they civil enough to be in the same picture with you? If not, I need to know that. So get that up front. Find out if they're planning any surprises on the wedding day. Are they doing a dove release? Or are they doing a choreographed first dance? You may have to look at them and say, look, there may be a surprise between the couple themselves, and say that, look, if you're planning any surprises between each other, don't tell me now, because I don't want to spoil any surprises, but make sure you phone me in the next couple of days individually and tell me what you're doing. So you're not ruining any surprises. But if you're planning anything together, like obviously a choreographed first dance would be planned together, you need to know that kind of thing, just so there are no surprises on the wedding day. And also tell them to make sure the band or the DJ know you've got an overtime clause. And if the band's slacking when they arrive and taking their time to get set up, they need to know that they might cost you money. So, and generally, if I had a situation like that and the band was taking a little bit of time, because they might not want to start till 9 o'clock if they can get away with it. A quick word in one of the couple's ears, and quick word with the band, and it's sorted. So no surprises. Slideshow, again, the pre-wedding, because we're doing a slideshow with our wedding photographs, I would ask them for their choices of music to cover a 15-minute slideshow at that point as well, and we would put that music to their slideshow. Now, when you get your list of wedding formals from them, or family portraits, get it documented in paper and do it in the right order. So you generally start from the big group first and you work down and send it back to the couple and say, that's what we'll be working from on the wedding day. Please make sure your groomsmen, ushers or whoever, or people on hand to help us gather people together, understand that's the list, and tell them to speak to both sets of parents so that parents know in advance that's the formal list, because the parents will always want more. And what you say to the parents at that point is, listen, we've got a limited time here. You won't say listen because it sounds a bit abrupt, sorry. Take that back. You'll say to them, look, I wouldn't even say that sounds abrupt as well. You say, we've got a certain amount of time at the moment, and if I can get through these, then I've got to take the couple away. What I will have more time between, after the photographs are done and after the meal, we can get your family together at that point. Is that okay? So you're telling them, yeah, I'll do extra photos for you if you want, but we'll handle them at a later point in the day. At that point, they're sitting, had their meal, and they usually forget about it anyway. So any other issues you need to think about, Well, bear in mind you will only have one vehicle that you're travelling in. So be wary of people asking for both groom prep and bridal prep if they're not getting ready at the same location, because you can't be in two places at one time because you've only got one car. If they want to have another car, then they've got to pay for it. Give them a payment reminder when the final balance is due, so you're telling them there and then, by the way, your payment's due in 4 weeks' time or whatever. This is a pre-wedding meeting. Now, a lot of times they might actually just pay the final balance there and then, so it's handy to get that out of the way. Personality issues. Don't be afraid at this point. If something, you had the pre-wedding shoot and you're having your meeting, you're getting signals here, don't be afraid to threaten to back out of a contract. Unfortunately, that's very, very rare, but I've had one situation where we did a pre-wedding shoot and the bride-to-be turned up in a little mini wedding dress. Now, right away that set alarm bells to me. I said, what is she doing here? Because normally we tell them it's just be casual, be yourself. She turned up in this mini wedding dress. She'd had her hair all done and ringlets and stuff. And at that point we didn't have a studio. We were working from home, so our pre-wedding shoots were done outside, and it was a particularly windy day that day. And obviously you try and work in as much shelter, but no matter what we could do, she had long hair, the wind was blowing and occasionally hair would be in front of her face. So I did our best and we got 20 photos. And as far as I'm concerned, there were 20 good photos. When she saw them, she said that I actually got an email from the groom-to-be saying, Alan, I can't remember the girl's name, she's been in tears since the pre-wedding shoot and she's so disappointed with these pictures. And I'm like, is she looking at the same pictures as I am? Because these pictures are good. You know, they're excellent pictures, nothing wrong with them. So I immediately just lifted the phone to the groom and I spoke to him and I said, look, what's going on here? And it was quite clear he had been coerced to write that email to me. It's quite clear because he says, listen, Alan, I'm sorry, I really, and at this point he was on his own. He says, she had this idea in her head that these would be magazine photos. And so she was expecting a styled shoot. And this is why I don't like styled shoots, because styled shoots are not what you actually get on a wedding day. So if you show people style shoots and they're going to expect to get that, a style shoot involves makeup artists, hairstylists, everybody all working together to get this amazing photograph. You're working your own, you don't have a makeup artist, you don't have a hairstylist on hand with you, you can't control the wind and and the rain or whatever it might get on a wedding day. So I said to him, look, and I explained that to him. I says, but I'll tell you what, and at this point their pre-wedding shoot was done 2 weeks before their wedding day, because she kept putting it off and kept putting it off. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you, and they'd already paid the full wedding at this point. I says, I'm going to give you your money back because I'm not shooting your wedding. And I said that, I'm not shooting a wedding. I'm not working with a bride that's going to be so unreasonable like that. But I says, our expectations are off the charts. I says, it's totally unrealistic expectations. I'm not putting myself in that situation where I'm going to have to work with somebody like that. And of course, he backpedaled completely. I got an apology email for the bride shortly afterwards. So sorry, I did have the wrong expectations, and that's my own fault, not yours. So, well, we turned up on the wedding day, and the bridesmaids were all in tears, absolutely in tears, because this bride was a maniac. And I wished I had cancelled the wedding. Fortunately, we still ended up with a good set of photographs, and it was quite a fun day because the surprise in that wedding was the girl had been taking singing lessons and did a surprise sing-song for our groom just before the first dance, and let's just say our singing lessons weren't very good, so it was very funny. So anyway, we got the best of that end. So, personality issues, don't be afraid to push back if you need to. So that's key thing about pre-weddings here. Don't forget this is another sales opportunity. But now they're much further into their wedding planning process. They've really got everything booked to know what the costs are, so they're much clearer in their mind how much their wedding budget is, and they'll know if they can or cannot afford anything else. So we can use this as a pre-sales opportunity. So at this point, I've maybe not seen them for a year. I'm going to come out of the albums. Morag's done the organisational bit, the planning bit. I'll come back in and then just how you getting on. You got everything sorted with Morag. Oh, one quick thing. I want you to show you the album again you booked, just a reminder, because you probably can't even remember what you booked, right? So I'll bring it out, and then if this point, if they've not went for the fine art album, the platinum fine art album, which is a 2495, if they went for the 2495, at this point I'll say to them, oh, by the way, did I show you this one the last time? I can't remember, because I'm not sure if we had these albums in when you came in. So I'm giving them a chance again to upgrade, right? So I'm giving that go large thing, the McDonald's principle again. Did you still want the 30 pages, or did you want the extra 10 pages to make sure we get everything in with your first dance and everything? So again, you're using these, you're using language, you're using psychology, you're trying to upgrade them. Parents' albums, have you given them any more thought to them? Remember, they're £100 if you order them just now. £100 off if you order them just now. Again, upsell. Always be selling. Always be close the sale. Always try to add a little bit extra to your the actual profit you're going to make from this wedding, because it makes such a difference. You can start off, as you say, starting off with their expectation of $14.95, and before you know it, are paying up into the 2,800s. So that's how you do it. So that's the pre-wedding meeting. Quite a bit to cover there again. It's 25 minutes a video there, 25-minute lesson. You may, if you're already obviously doing weddings, you may handle these things differently. I'm just trying to show you how I handled it and how you can see where we get the sales opportunities keep coming in and keep trying to upgrade them. I hope that makes sense. We'll see you in the next lesson.